But speaking of contract extensions or players wanting to get a new contract,
Okay.
like that Dolphins one that we talked about yesterday was a unique situation.
Interesting.
Was that the Dolphins
No,
yesterday?
Dolphins was 2 days ago, I think, right?
2 days ago. Yeah,
Yes.
2 days ago.
Yeah, yep.
And yesterday was a guy who wanted to renegotiate after just signing a contract
Yes.
extension last year.
Yep.
And we didn't quite agree with it. But then you do have a guy like Stephon Gilmore who's skipping Patriots mini camp to seek a new contract because I think he's projected to make $7 million this year.
Yep.
And yesterday we were talking about like the going rate was like 12 to 14 mil roughly. So definitely a guy that does deserve a new contract probably
Yep.
because Pro Bowler, very good safety. We're gonna see what happens with him because I feel like this year is like unfortunately is not the year to be getting new contracts, but you do see a certain amount of these players, working to get that done. And I think, with a guy like him, you have a potential for two situations here, Nick. I think he's either going to get the contract extension or new contract that he's looking for, or the other possibility is he's potentially traded.
Yeah.
But I think we'll probably know more on that in like late July, because I did see with Stephon Gilmore that Belichick did come out and comment like it didn't bother him that he wasn't at camp, because I think for Gilmore there's a lot of he wouldn't start getting fined until that late July period
Right.
of camp.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think.
we could see him hold it potentially till then.
Yeah, I think that is definitely realistic. The It's funny because the newsletter today, I kind of focused on the fact that all of these defensive backs are seemingly like going through this odd period where like a bunch of them want contract negotiations and like extensions, and like
Yeah.
the top tier guys. And I think
Yes.
I think it does point to what you're saying there. Like, I think that these guys are willing to wait it out. I think they really are willing to wait it out. I think that they play in a position that is very important in the NFL, especially nowadays. I think they know that. They have a lot of leverage because of that. And I agree with you. I think they're willing to really wait it out and see what happens. It's just interesting because Jalen Ramsey signs like a $20 million contract with the Rams, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden, this is the new world for defensive backs, right? This all of a sudden opened up this $20 million like window for these defensive backs, and all of a sudden, you know how these leagues go, right? It's not just
Yeah.
the NFL; it's professional sports, right? If a guy at your position is making a certain amount of money, like let's be honest, Stephon Gilmore, 2019 Defensive Player of the Year, but
Yeah.
Jalen Ramsey's getting 20 million. Jalen Ramsey's awesome;
Yeah.
he's a talent. Like, don't get me wrong. Then you
Yeah.
look at the guy like from the Dolphins, right? Leads the league in interceptions last year.
Reception.
He's looking at Jalen Ramsey probably being like, he's getting 20. Like,
Yeah.
I think you start to like,
I'm getting 12 right now.
yep, you set that bar, and Stephon Gilmore's making a third of what Jalen Ramsey's making, and he was Defensive Player of the Year in 2019. I get it, but once again, this is that rock and a hard place type of situation
Yeah.
where it's like, but Stephon Gilmore signed his extension like in 2019, 2018, 2019. Like, it's like you signed that deal at that time,
Yeah.
and this is what happens. I think it's interesting to watch because I think in the NFL, as more money comes in and the salary cap gets bumped up, how many of these guys start coming back around a year into a 5-year deal, 2 years into
Yeah.
a 4-year deal, and they're like, hey, all of a sudden we got all this extra salary cap space. Look, like, can we, it's gonna be interesting. I think this is
Yeah.
probably a trend that we're seeing start with the defensive backs. I don't think it's gonna stop there.
Yeah. And I think you see guys start to take shorter deals just because how quickly the NFL marketplace changes. Like when you're talking about like a guy like Jalen Ramsey, who is getting paid 20 mil, and like Stephon Gilmore, if I'm him, I'm offended. I'm offended I'm not getting that kind of
No
cash.
doubt.